class. Welcome to week 2. To start your week off, Dr. Cho is going to tell you this is my best joke. So I hope you're sitting down just because you might bust a gut. Okay, so sadist and a masochist walk into a bar. Masochist says to the sadist, hit me! And the sadist says, no! Get it? Sadist, masochist. All I have to say is that my psych students, they are like rolling in the aisles over that one. But anyway, so this week we're going to get into strategy and how you form it. And the first part is forming, is finishing up. We're going to finish up the 5 C's and look at how we do landscape and then formulate strategy. Let's see, that is under a separate video, and it's in week 1. Talk about how we do quizzes. And so, what's the concept? The thing is, when you're going to attack something, and I said this in the first lecture, you need intelligence. And the thing about the 5 C's is you don't always need all the C's. Like, for example, if there's no context changes going on in the world that affect what you're doing, then it doesn't mean anything. So why did they do it? Why did they make it so cookie cutter? Frameworks are there for when you don't know where to start. And that's the thing. When you're looking at really big problems, you get confused and all. And what frameworks allow you to do is to calm down and say, okay, wait a minute. Let's go back to our discipline. Okay, 5 C's. Customer, who is my customer? Company, me. What is it? What value am I providing? And so on and so forth. And then you start to think more expansively. That's the thing about a framework. You need to grow beyond the framework. Six Sigma is a framework, and it killed some companies. 3M dropped it. Now, Six Sigma is absolutely great for production, but it's not great for creativity. And subsequently, 3M dropped it because they found out that, gee, all our creative guys have become less creative. Anyway, collaborators. And this goes to you, all of you who want to do startups. When you think about a company, you start thinking about, oh, there's 10, 11 pieces to it. No. Your company, anytime you need to think about the problems, falls into 3 pillars. And these are the 3 things you have to think about. You have your strategic. This is your upper management, setting the direction of the corporation, or how you're going to raise money and things like that. So that's like the head guy of your startup. Marketing. How am I going to go out and sell it? How am I going to plan on that? And product. And manufacturing falls under product. What are the things I have to do for a product? Those are the 3 things that startups have to focus on. So again, if you remember those 3 pillars, then all the details spill out after that. Because it's like, okay, how are we going to hire people? That's HR. And that really impacts all 3 pillars. And so on and so forth. But the thing about collaborators is what you want them to do is either enhance what you do or you want them to create a new capability. And so there are some examples here that you can read, like in marketing, for example, co-promotions together or bundling their products with your products. A good example of where you need collaborators is the cloud. Nobody goes into the cloud by themselves. Why? Because think about all the different things you need. You need security. You need no software works by itself. Bill paying. I mean, all the different functions that go into the cloud. No one company really does it by itself. You're going to need collaborators somewhere. Company. The thing about being a company is you excel at one of 3 things. And so what are those things that you excel at? You're either going to have to excel on either the best at price, on the best at product, or on the best at customer intimacy, that I know my customer better than anybody else does. And a good example of that is actually GoPro. When Nick Woodman made GoPro, it's a camera. It's just a rugged camera. And Nick Woodman actually didn't even want to form a company. Nick Woodman wanted to sell this thing to Kodak, and Kodak turned him down. And so the question becomes, what did Nick Woodman do? Well, the thing is, Nick Woodman was an extreme sports guy. He understood the psyche of snowboarders and skateboarders and everybody else. And so therefore, he knew how to market to them, and he knew how to sell to them. And subsequently, that's why GoPro became so popular, because he understood his customer better than anyone else. I mean, seriously, do you see Kodak understanding a bunch of skateboarders? No. And so this is what they mean by customer intimacy, that you compete on that level. The thing about strategies in a company is they integrate together. When you look at really good companies, every single piece of the company fits together, and it's like perfect efficiency. So in Walmart's case, for example, they wanted to be the cheapest, and they're the ones who came up with this hub and spoke distribution, meaning the way other companies did distribution is they filled up a truck, and then you serially go around and hit one company after another. If you run out of stuff, it's like, well, gee, we're too far away and I got extra deliveries. I can't do that. On the other hand, what Walmart did is they strategically placed their distribution centers and all their stores within a certain distance around it. So if he needed more stuff, they found out, wow, we're really selling towels this month. He can go back to the distribution center, pick up towels, bring it back, and then move on to the next one. And what they did is they actually did real-time stocking, and they actually did real-time pricing. That all of a sudden, if they found out like something was surging, they could change prices quickly. And what it comes down to is your activities make you excel. So in terms of startup, again, are you about price? Are you about product, which is very common for engineers? You're always building the better mousetrap. Or is it about customer intimacy? And the thing about digital technology today is that you can use it to become, not only can you get reach, but the question is can you get that personalization so you can capture richness also? That's the holy grail. Here's the thing about price. And hint, 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 this will be very valuable for you when you do the Roman Haas case. Price is the hardest value to sell. And the reason why, if price is the only value you have me to sell, and you're asking me to take a risk, and I'm talking about technology-based products, I have no reason to buy your product. I'm going to wait for something else. There has to be something more than a price savings that you're offering me. And that's why a lot of things that save you price also do other things. And it's typically product related. Because if it's just money, your attitude's going to be, you know something, I'm just going to wait. I mean, I could come to you today and say, oh, you should drop Blackboard. I have this new software that's going to save you 20%. Well, you're going to be sitting there like, gee, but if Blackboard doesn't work, I'm going to have problems. So, there's put that. So that's one of the toughest things to do. The thing is, when we think about different, let's do a little example in terms of price, product, and customer intimacy. Steve Jobs, what was he about? Customer intimacy. Now, you can say he did innovate quite a bit on the product, but he's about product and customer intimacy, certainly not about price. Larry Page of Google. Does he know the customer well? No, not really. Well, Larry Price is going after his product. That essentially Google offers things that perform much better than other things. And you can walk yourself through some of the other examples. There's two different views of what marketing is about. One, it's about that you take exceptional care of the customer. And others, in the other point of view of marketing, is that it's hand-to-hand combat. I tend to lean towards the latter more than the former. I mean, of course you have to do the former. But the latter is what it's like to work in industry and marketing. The thing is, what is a strategy and what is a plan? We will cross-train all employees on the assembly line. That way, if there's absences will go down. Okay, General Yu Sun Sin at Pyongyang. This is actually, everybody talks about Nelson at Trafalgar, but actually this is one of the greatest naval battles ever fought. And that's that the Japanese were trying to conquer Korea. And so they had 133 ships to his 13. And the thing is, General Yu, or Admiral Yu, I should say, he picked the place where they were going to fight. And what he found out is that this area had lots of little eddies. The thing is, the Japanese ships were much smaller than the Korean ships. So what he did is he set one in the strait to make it very difficult to pass, and he set all his boats back here on very calm seas. And so what ended up happening is when the smaller ships came in, they started knocking into each other. And General Yu, the thing is, when you're firing cannons, you don't want to fire a cannon when you're bouncing up and down. So what General Yu did with his big boats is, while these guys are like bumping into each other and everything, he's firing his cannons and sinking them left and right. But the other thing General Yu also knew about this area is there was a quirk to it, meaning all the flow of the ocean is going this way, so it's flowing him right into them. But then what happens is that midday, it changes direction. And so what happened is when the backup boats also came in to fight, and they were among the Korean ships, then these big heavy Korean ships, and they had like steel keels in the front. What they did is so they're really close to the Korean ships, and then the tide changed direction, and then what the Korean ships did is they started slicing through. For those of you who are interested, I think there's a movie called The Admiral on Netflix that actually tells the story. But the thing is, General Yu's strategy was to use this quirk in place, and his objective was basically to cause the Japanese Navy to retreat. And that's what ended up happening. Okay, and number 3 is we will map out the tech space, put technologies in every sector, and we'll copy any entrance. So which is a strategy and which is a plan? As it turns out, 1 and 3 are both plans. They are not strategies. And why is that? Oh, and I got a big trouble at a job because they actually put up that cross-training, and I just said, is this a strategy or a plan? And the reason why is a strategy is a set of actions where you're deploying your competitive advantages. Just training a bunch of people, unless it's going to make them better fighters or whatever, isn't necessarily applying your competitive advantages. And the thing is, you're making these decisions under uncertainty. The thing about a strategy is that it has to be measurable. That's the thing. With the cross-training, if they said, our goal is we are going to decrease absenteeism by this much, and it's going to cost this much to train them, and this is how much it's going to result in profitability and all, then you might have a strategy there. A lot of companies said, well, we're going to put technologies in every space. That's a plan. That's not a strategy. Because what happens? Okay, somebody else enters that space. What are you going to do? How much is it going to cost? And that's the thing about a lot of people who make strategies, and quite frankly, strategy, along with leadership, is 2 of the most abused words in business. And anytime I hear CEOs say it, I just want to barf. Okay, so that takes us to our definition of strategy. You can see the rest of the lecture in the next part.